Funding for this edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been provided by RWJ Barnabas Health, New Jersey Resources, TD Bank, Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, the New Jersey Education Association, the law firm of Gibbons, P.C., the Northward Center, MD Advantage Insurance Company of New Jersey, and by ADP, a comprehensive provider of human resources technology and services. Promotional support provided by NJ.com, small news, big news, true Jersey. And by Tap Into TV.
This is One-on-One. I'm an equal American just like you are.
The jobs of tomorrow are not the jobs of yesterday.
Look at this. You got this?
Here it is, man. Look at that.
Life without dance is boring.
I don't care how good you are or how good you think you are, there is always something to learn.
Do you enjoy talking politics?
No.
People call me because they feel nobody's paying attention.
Our culture, I don't think, has ever been tested the way it's being tested right now.
Such a good question. High five.
This is One-on-One. Everything in this program is dedicated to a very important topic, women in leadership. A woman who happens to be, our leader who happens to be a very strong woman right now. We have in the studio Michele Siekerka, been with us many times, President and CEO, New Jersey Business and Industry Association. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing great.
You just had,
We did.
and some of us got a chance to participate in, an absolutely great leadership event involving women. Talk about it.
Yeah, so it was our 5th annual Women Business Leaders Forum. We had over 500 incredible women. Steve, you were there. The energy, the passion, the momentum, I mean, it was contagious, infectious, and there's still social media going on weeks later.
What do you think it was about? What caused it?
Well, first of all, we've led up to this. So each year we talk about, what's another aspect of your own self-development as a female leader that you need to get to. And a few years ago, we talked about empowering yourself, and then we talked about empowering others. And now this was all about bringing it home. And we said, this is about owning your success. And what does that mean? And it means, being present in the game. It means really unleashing your capacity, your ability, recognizing where your vulnerabilities are, and then leaning into those vulnerabilities and not letting them get in your way. So when we talk about women's leadership, we talk very intently and with purpose about building hardcore leadership skills and then creating the visibility to the women who have those skills so we can advance into the C-suite and the boardroom. But
Michele, what's fascinating to me is I had the chance to moderate a forum with some pretty great women on executive presence. And there was a whole discussion, what is executive presence? Does it look different in men and women? What is executive presence first? And second, any difference between men and women executive presence?
Well, certainly it's about having confidence, knowing your stuff so that you can feel confident when you show up. And again, being present in the moment. So when you walk in that room, have your A game every time. Be on every single time. And don't let folks, get you off your game. So difference between men and women, harder for women.
Why?
Because we're not there yet, Steve. Every day, I hear from women leaders across the state about how they sit in rooms with men, and sometimes it's obvious that they're in the room, and other times the women have to still fight their way into the conversation in the room.
Do you? I've never seen you. Well, put it this way. I don't know. It's like a duck who looks so smooth. We don't know what's going on underneath. You've never, ever, in all the years we've known each other, it never looked to me like you were struggling to be a strong presence in a conversation. That's my perspective and perception. Yours is?
Well, thank you. I would say it comes with maturity and it comes with experience. What I mean by maturity is age. Okay? The longer you're in the game of being in rooms where you have to command an audience or command attention, the longer you're in that space, the more confident you get doing it. You think I get up and I'm not nervous times when I speak? Oh, hell yeah, I'm nervous, right?
Still?
Yeah, absolutely.
Same here sometimes.
But you know what? You know when I'm not nervous? When I'm 100% prepared and when I'm really passionate about what I'm talking about. If I am in the space that I'm comfortable in, then I can easily bring my A game. If I'm not prepared to be in that space, I'm gonna be a little challenged. That's when I'm nervous. So I really shouldn't be nervous if I know what I'm doing, right?
Interesting. The other piece about this is the whole question of the number of women in the C-suite, if you will.
Yeah.
Are we dramatically better than we were 5 or 10 years ago?
In the C-suite, we're still struggling. It's very, very slow go in the C-suite. Even the succession planning is still struggling. The good news is in the boardroom. We're making more advances in the boardroom.
What's the difference?
So, well, the boardroom is who's sitting on the board of the big companies across the state of New Jersey and the entire country, right? So the good news is in 2018, a recent report showed that 40% of all board seats, so this is public-private, all board seats, went to 40% were women. That sounds great. Fortune 500, though, is only 22%.
That's it?
That's it, 22%. And again, the C-suite is even slower. Statistics tell us, though, that the pace we're on right now, because we've accelerated the pace, that we'll have parity by 2025. That's only about 5.5 years
That's
away.
Right.
So
That's
slow
right.
and steady does win the race.
Do you think there's anything different? Women in leadership we happen to be taping in New Jersey, we tape in New York as well with our partners at WNET. Do you think there's anything unique or special about women who are leaders based in New Jersey versus anywhere else in the nation?
Oh,
You happen to be one of them.
well, I mean, Jersey girls got it all.
You'd see, I was hoping you'd go there. Do you think Jersey girls who are Jersey women leaders, you have certain advantages?
We tend to be bolder in the state of New Jersey. So for that exact point, I would say I think we get a leg up. But you want to know something? We are working hard to create the environment here. I want to see New Jersey be a lead state on women's leadership. That's why we do that forum. That's why we bring those women together.
Right.
Number one, not just to advance them to the C-suite and the boardroom and create the opportunities and the visibility. Number two, to say that we got it going on in the state of New Jersey, that our companies here get it. Because you know what? When women and diversity is in the C-suite and the boardroom, the company does better. There's an absolute business case for diversity. It's not just because it's the right
case?
Absolutely. It's not just about the right thing to do. Okay? Women who start companies, entrepreneurs, female entrepreneurs, first year, 10% better performance. Okay? Companies that have more than 50% or at least 50% of women in leadership positions have better return on investment, better net profit at the end of the year. Okay? So think about it. Also, consumers are looking at companies that have diversity in the C-suite and the boardroom.
And without it, if a company does not, are they putting themselves at a competitive disadvantage?
I would say yes, because the statistics show that when you have women in leadership and diversity in the C-suite and the boardroom, the company performs better. Business case.
Let's try this, a couple more items. So I've often, when I've talked about this, by the way, this publication, we cross-promote with New Jersey Business, and I'm proud to have a column in there on leadership every month. But I'm also curious about this. One of the things we talked about in the forum that I moderated for you and your colleagues at BIA was also about the old expression, or the question, should a woman in a leadership position, when does she, quote, act like a man? And when I first heard that, I thought, what does that mean? And then I was like, are you trying to say being more assertive? That's what that means? Please tell me we don't use that expression anymore.
So there was this whole debate for a long time about the word aggressive. Oh, she's too aggressive. And then there was the whole persona of what does that mean?
By the way, were you ever accused of that?
Yes, I was.
Okay, go ahead.
I was. And my answer to that is I am proactive and I'm passionate.
And assertive, okay, I don't want to play a word game, but there's a difference between assertive. By the way, aggressive in the eyes of one is assertive to another, but the bottom line is you have to be heard.
Yes, but there's ways of doing it. So I don't like the word aggressive, because to me, the word in and of itself, aggression.
That's not you.
No, and it has this sense of like coming at you. When I say I'm proactive, okay, that means I'm ahead. That means that, again, I'm bringing my confidence, and I have something to say, and I'm going to say it in the right way. I choose my words very, very seriously, and I choose my tone and tenor very, very seriously. If there's a situation where I have to be a little more assertive to get attention, I'll do it, but I'll do it in the right way. But I'm not going to come barreling into a room. You just don't do that. There's no need to do that.
For men or for women.
Correct. For a leader should never, ever.
And that is why we talk about leadership all the time. Michelle and I have countless conversations off the air as well as on. Thank you, Michelle. Check out, by the way, this entire program dedicated to women in leadership and women's leadership. Important stuff. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you so much.
To watch
Steve.
more one-on-one with Steve Adubato, find us online and follow us on social media.
Our Women in Leadership series continues with Carley Graham Garcia, Executive Director Feliciano Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation at my alma mater, Montclair State University. It was not a university then. It's huge these days, and there was not such a center which does what?
The Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation is a hub for students across campus. We're co-located within the business school, but we serve the broader university community. Montclair State is now a research institution, over 21,000 students. It's a Hispanic designated serving institution. 30% Hispanic, 21% African American. This incoming class this year is incredibly dynamic. So my job and the center's job is to opportunity spot for these students, support them as they become entrepreneurs, bring potential employers, potential funding for their businesses to campus. We run a pitch competition. We do a Women Entrepreneurship Week series of events and major conference, supporting the students full circle as they get into business.
You know, I've told you, we talked about this, how fascinated I am by the, not just leadership, the question of leadership and what it really takes to be a great leader, but the entrepreneurial piece too. Check out our Google, our website with Gary Vee. We've had Gary Vee on many times. Gary Vee and I had these conversations about what it takes. What does it take to be a great entrepreneur?
Grit, determination. I'm actually coming here today straight from the Propelify Innovation Festival, where
we just did a feature on them. Go ahead.
Yes, New Jersey Tech Council, really exciting. Aaron Price is leading it. He's led Propelify for years. I've been engaged for a long time. I led a session for scrappy New Jersey-based entrepreneurs who basically had built their businesses in their homes, their garages, their backyards, and are scaling them globally here, from their original sort of place that they founded it in New Jersey.
So you got grit.
Determination.
Someone says, I got a great idea.
Yeah.
You say?
Pitch it. Pitch it in front of an audience that can support you. Get others to help you. Get hardworking students like Montclair State University, undergrads and graduate students and alum to chip in. Figure out how to raise funding. Figure out how to build demand for the business that they're building here.
I'm curious, because this series is about women in leadership, do you think there's any significant difference about a man or a woman in an entrepreneurial role? Do they approach it differently in your view at all? Overall, not every case is different, but is there any research that backs up that there's one successful model for women and one for men?
Well, I think we know that women are traditionally underfunded. Something like 2% of venture capital go to women, of the $100 million. Yes. And one of the exciting things about what's happening right now in New Jersey, sort of this innovation economy, is the effort by this administration and this ecosystem to support
the Murphy
women.
administration.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Just yesterday, I was at an event where First Lady Tammy Murphy was talking about Golden Seeds, which is angel investors who fund women. New Jersey is now the 7th chapter of Golden Seeds, and they have an intention of just basically supporting female founders. So that's one of the real differences. Women tend to be underfunded.
So it's interesting. You come from Google, and you come to a public university, a state university in New Jersey. Biggest cultural difference you've seen is?
You know what? They're not that dissimilar in a lot of ways. Which
really?
A lot of people sort of find odd. I'm a month in. The work that I enjoyed the most at Google was this sort of intersection between business, policy, and community. Engaging business leaders in what technologists were building, that was part of my old job. That's part of my new job. Figuring out how, within an ecosystem as dynamic as a state university, as large as Montclair State, how can we opportunity spot basically across campus?
You keep using the phrase opportunity spot. What does that mean?
It means bringing in resources where they exist that they may not have been used before. Figuring out who's an alum that we can bring in to talk to our students. Earlier this week, we had a Montclair State alumni, Ori Eisen, who had sold his business to a firm for $350 million. And he came in, talked to students, had a meet and greet, really gave a chance for our folks who are entrepreneurs to learn from one of their own. So it's about pulling in opportunities for people to sort of be able to grow from there.
You know, devil's advocate question. We have a group of millennials who help run our day-to-day operation at the Caucus Educational Corporation, and a whole range of them here at NJTV, our partners, who are talented, hardworking, just terrific. There's a preconceived idea, there's a stereotype that some people have in their minds that millennials, they don't want to work as hard, They want the success faster. They want the recognition faster. They don't deal with they don't deal with direct feedback so well. That doesn't praise them. All those cliches mean what to you?
Yeah, I think, this generation, I've seen a lot of that written. The entrepreneurial mindset is really different, right? Because if a young person, if a millennial gets interested in something that they themselves want to drive, that they themselves have a stake in, that they see growing, then that's really exciting. Coming from Propelify, there are all these young people who are working constantly, but they're working sort of on their own terms, on their own hours, for their own, seeing their own efforts rewarded. And I think that's kind of the innovation economy at its best. That's really the gig economy. Being able to sort of pursue and drive your own passions and then hopefully make money out of it.
I'm curious about this. On the leadership question, what has been the most significant leadership, A, lesson you've learned, and B, I'll do B in a second. Biggest lesson is?
Biggest lesson in leadership. I think it's enhancing the success of others, figuring out how to find your confidence, to find your stake at in the ground, to find your seat at the table, it's said a lot, and be able then to sort of lift up other voices, because it's that old adage, you always want to hire people that are better than you,
Hold
right?
on 1 second. Devil's advocate again. Not enough to be successful yourself as a leader? That's not good enough. I'm succeeding, I'm making money, I'm moving up the ranks. That's not leadership by itself. What about the others, right?
It's only interesting, and it only becomes, in my mind, sort of worthwhile if you bring others with you, right? If you have the chance to sort of surround yourself with really interesting, really dynamic people. And that's what was so exciting in my roles prior to this. I worked with a lot of really smart and talented people who taught me a lot. And that's what's so exciting about being at the Center for Entrepreneurship and Innovation.
Part B, biggest challenge as a leader is? Is it doing what you just said?
Doing what I just said, executing, probably. Well, no, I think, in any sort of environment, especially one that's big, some of the big tech companies have gotten tough to sort of move smaller ideas through, right? Because they've become, they have a lot more employees than when I began. I think the same is true for any sort of big institution, right? Being able to kind of shepherd ideas through can sometimes take some buy-in, but I feel lucky to be at a place where the ability to sort of collaborate and get things done is possible.
I want to thank you for joining us, Carley Graham Garcia, who's leading the Feliciano, named after?
Mimi Feliciano. New Jersey-based entrepreneur.
Entrepreneurship and Innovation Center at Montclair State University. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Our Women in Leadership series continues right after this.
To watch more One-on-One with Steve Adubato, find us online and follow us on social media.
There she is on camera, Dee C. Marshall. She is CEO of Diverse and Engaged. How you doing?
I'm doing well, my friend.
For those who do not know about your great organization, tell them what it's all about.
Diverse and Engaged. We are essentially a leadership development, workplace culture, and diversity consulting practice.
You're part of a series of interviews we're doing with very strong women in business, leaders, right? You've been watching this show, you know. You had an experience on 9/11. Changed your life dramatically.
Yeah.
Make it clear to us. Tell us the story.
Yeah. So I worked on Wall Street on September 11th, and it was a very proud time of my life. I come from the inner city.
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in New Brunswick,
all right.
Believe it or not. My mom had 2 children by the time she graduated high school. So here I am on Wall Street. I am training $1 million producers. That was my job. And I'm in the office with a colleague, Sue Ellen Margulis. We're talking. Folks are walking by, and we're like, wait, are we late for a meeting? And somebody comes in, and they say, oh, there's a fire over at the World Trade Center. We go over, and no sooner than I'm there, out of my left peripheral, I see the plane come by our window.
You saw it?
Yeah, and so I was the second person to the elevator. I know that because they closed when I got there, and so down I went with everybody else on the floor, 33 flights of stairs. It was complete pandemonium, on the ground, Battery Park. It was a nightmare. And I remember getting home by ferry, because that's when you remember that Manhattan is really an island. I remember an intermediate stop, into a travel agent, and picking up the phone to call home. I didn't have the courage to call my mom. I called my church.
You did.
The pastor at the time was the then Secretary of State, Dr. DeForest.
Oh, he was just
Do you
sitting
remember
in his chair.
that?
Buster was sitting in that chair recently. He also married my wife and I, so go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
He's family to me.
Yeah, so we get to Jersey City, quarantined in Newark. I lived in Central Jersey at the time, and it was 8 hours getting home. And that night, went to bed, but woke up the next morning, and I remember thinking, did that happen? What happened? Did something happen? And there were these questions, and the questions were, you know, if I died yesterday, would I have any regrets? That was the biggest question on September 12th. So my point is, it was a defining moment, September 11th, but more so on September 12th, asking the question, if you died yesterday, because people died.
You changed everything.
Yeah.
When did you start this business?
So let's see.
So you left your job.
Eventually, I left my job. That became a defining moment in that I knew that I would never live my life with any regrets because people had lost their lives. And so it led me down the path of pursuing my passion in life, purpose. I eventually started this business, Diverse and Engaged, and the work that we do is a lot of what I did on Wall Street. We did leadership development, training and development, diversity and inclusion. It was not called that back then, but I was one of the only, people of color, Black people, African American, Wall Street. I had a sweet story, however. I didn't have a story of, feeling as if I was the only. So that was really how I got here with Diverse and Engaged. And now Wall Street, they're my clients.
That's right.
Yeah, so we go in and we do that work.
You know, it's interesting. We were talking about a mutual friend you and I have, a very good friend, Michele Davis. And she and I talk a lot about leadership, you know, and as you know, outside of my world of broadcasting, I do a fair amount of development, coaching. I'm curious about your philosophy. I know what mine is, which doesn't always work. Yours is?
Philosophy on
leadership.
On leadership?
Yeah. Helping people be the best they can be.
Yeah, I know. My philosophy is to connect back to whatever it is that you believe in, your faith. And what I have found is not enough people connect the dots. So it's whatever you believe in, whatever, if you have some sort of religious or faith practice, anchor in that, and that's how you become a better leader. Why? Because you become more of yourself. You become an authentic leader. A lot of people are trying to figure out how to become a better leader, a better storyteller, inspired by TED Talks. And
by the way, you had a TED Talk. You did the TED Talk at the New Jersey Business and Industry Association Women Leaders Business Conference. Is that what it was about?
It was.
Go ahead.
It was exactly that. It was how do you have a bigger impact in the world and in your work? How do you lead and motivate your people? How do you increase productivity? How do you impact your bottom line?
So hold on one second, devil's advocate. When you hear people say, oh, I'd like to do what Dee does. You ever hear people say that? I want to do what she does.
Yeah.
I want to be successful like she is. Do most of them have any idea what it takes?
No, but you know, they can work at it.
But
you know.
Let's not confuse this. Fair to say that we agree, as people coach and teach around leadership, no shortcuts.
No shortcuts.
No substitute for hard work.
No.
Grit.
Absolutely.
Talk to people.
You have to do your work. So you cannot, I always say you have to get your head in the game before you put your foot on the field. Get your head in the game before you put your foot on the field, in the field. Mindset, you have to work on your own mindset. You have to develop and grow yourself. Leaders are learners, right? And so I think people don't understand the commitment that it takes to personal growth and development in order to be a better leader, a high-performing leader.
A leader who learns from his or her mistakes and is committed to acknowledging those mistakes,
That's right?
And being vulnerable.
Yeah.
Vulnerable to that feedback, open to that feedback. Talk about, someone says, I'm good where I am, I'm good how I am. You say?
Best leaders right now are transparent, authentic, vulnerable. If you really look at some of the high-performing leaders right now, some of the big brands and how CEOs are really attracting people to them, it is being really true and honest and authentic, transparency, a little vulnerable, talking about the difficult experience and the lessons. I follow.
Go ahead.
Ray Dalio.
Ray Dalio.
Yes.
Who's that?
One of the, let's see, top hedge fund leaders in the world, billion. I mean, he's fast. He just wrote a book called
Go ahead,
The
a few
Principle.
seconds. What was the name of the book? I'm sorry, I cut you off.
The Ray Dalio Principles.
Go ahead.
Yeah, there you go. And he talks about the biggest faux pas that he had in his career was shame, humiliated. How he turned it around
Love it.
was humility and humbling himself and knowing where it is that he was super arrogant and such. So bottom line is do your own work.
Look at you. You are good.
You think?
No, I know.
Awesome.
I know when I see it.
Wow.
I know smart
Wow.
people who share,
I appreciate
care,
that. Thank you.
and want to make a difference for others. Dee, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Well
I
done.
appreciate you.
I'm Steve Adubato. This is why I love doing this show. See you next time.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation. Funding has been provided by RWJ Barnabas Health, New Jersey Resources, TD Bank, Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, the New Jersey Education Association, the law firm of Gibbons PC, the Northward Center, MD Advantage Insurance Company of New Jersey, and by ADP. Promotional support provided by NJ.com and by Tap Into TV. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.
You may not have heard of TAVR. Raj and Sandhya have. It's the minimally invasive alternative to open heart valve replacement. RWJ Barnabas Health is New Jersey's leading TAVR provider, and we continue to perfect it. Patients are often back to their lives in just a few days. Innovative valve replacement surgery. Because you can't be replaced. RWJ Barnabas Health. Let's be healthy together.